And welcome back to another edition of the MLB Inside the Diamond podcast. I'm your host, Tom Johnston. I'm joined by LaMarr Fields. How you doing, brother?
Good.
Well, it's been a crazy week, let alone anything in both college football and baseball for that matter. But we're going to get to baseball side of things first, just because there is a lot that is going on. And the number one free agent that everybody was wondering about, Aaron Judge, he'll remain with the Yankees on a 9-year, $360 million deal. LaMarr, your thoughts on this, and where do you see this actually going with the Yankees? Do you think that it helps the Yankees in the short term, or do you think that there might be some long term stability out of this?
Well, it definitely helps in this short term because he's still in his prime. It's just with these long term deals is how long can he stay in his prime? Can he have an extended prime and still be productive in the back end? And I mean, you can tell from what I've been reading, he never wanted to lead the Yankees. From what it sounded like to me, he told Hal Steinbrenner that he didn't want to leave, and Steinbrenner asked him what can get it done, and I think the Yankees did what was needed to get done.
Oh yeah. I think you look at this and it shows, the Yankees are willing to spend. And here's the key thing is I told my dad this the other day because like he and I talk a lot about baseball. He likes to pick my brain in a lot of stretches, but he also likes to stretch. And I told him I was like, you know, this actually fits him perfect because like he understands what the pressure is like. I mean, he's in literally the most he plays for an organization that has a lot of pressure on him, regardless of where they stand. But I was like, it's not New York, it's not the New York Yankees' fault if they're located in the market that they're located, but they have a front office and all that's willing to spend. I mean, you can't blame that. Now you could blame per se teams that might be in mid-sized markets that could spend more but choose not to. But like you can't blame the teams where they're located at. But it's also the Yankees have proven in the past that they are willing to spend that. I think the deal works out, good for them, but in some ways you just got to wonder with long-term deals there's risk you take because judging by the trajectory of previous long-term deals where we've seen players try to perform throughout the deal, it just seemed like they were only given maybe a good 3 or so years, but then as the contract went on, they started to decline in performance. And some teams have paid lucrative contracts before, but they've paid the guy more for being on the bench or being injured than they have actually playing and producing. And one big downfall of that is baseball contracts are fully guaranteed. And does that per se bring a thought to you that maybe they should restructure some of these contracts? And what I mean by that is like put certain clauses in because like you don't want to fully guarantee all this money if like guy might miss half a season. I mean, I just don't see how you could sit well as an owner or a GM and figure, oh yeah, I'm willing to pay this guy, this amount of money, but whatever happens, happens.
I mean, they could, but the players' union not going to go for that. I mean, you can put stuff in what GMs may want to put it in, but they gotta agree. Both sides gotta agree to it, and on the player side, that's not gonna happen.
I mean, it's always worth a topic of discussion because I mean,
The
you just
players
never
not gonna.
know.
If you got fully guaranteed contracts, players are not gonna never vote against that.
I mean, hey,
It's just
you
so it
know,
benefits the players, and the baseball got a strong players union, and they ain't gonna vote against that. Why would they?
hey,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes listen, these owners they run a business owning a major league
Yeah,
franchise
but I
team.
get all that, but the players union got to agree to it too. It ain't
I
one
know.
sided.
Hey,
And players union is not going to get that. Why would it? Why would it? If I'm getting 100% of salary, why would I agree to okay if
well,
I
I'm
get
gonna
hurt
say
on the
they're getting
position?
100% of the salary,
Yeah.
but I mean, after taxes and then them investing into the pension in the long term, I mean, it has whatever. But it's just hey, looking at it logically from both sides, it's just some owners might have an issue with that. I mean, hey,
Oh, I
listen,
know they got an issue with that, but nothing they can do about
that's
it.
true. That is true. But overall, yeah, I just I like this signing. I think it benefits him in a long way, but I feel based off of his trajectory and performance as a Yankee so far, I think it could be well worth the investment. But only Judge in the Yankees front office is going to determine that. Now, on to another player, and this one struck some hard fire into one fan base. Xander Bogaerts is leaving for the Padres. It's an 11-year deal, 280 million, and he gets a signing bonus of 5 million with an average salary of 25.4 million per season. What are your thoughts on this? The Padres, they have been big spenders in the past, but do you think it comes back to bite teams more often than not versus help them out? And where do you see Bogarts taking the Padres?
Um, that was interesting. Long. I didn't see him getting like 11-year deal and not that much money. He's a good player though, and the Padres got a nice lineup, and it's gonna be interesting to see how he plays there. Put up good numbers. He gonna play. He gonna be solid. You know that. He ain't never gonna hit like maybe 30. Might never. He hit 33 homers in 2019 and 11 to 2020, 23, 2021, and 15 last year. But solid player. Gonna play defense and another bat to lineup. I think they paid a little bit too much money for him, but hey, with that lineup, we surround with them players, put them in the right batting order, his numbers can thrive. Like put him in front of Machado or something like that, and you see a lot of fastballs or attack. You know how that. You know how it is. You bat in front of like Barry Bonds or Mark McGwire or Ken Griffey Jr. You're gonna see a lot of pitches right down the middle because they don't want to face them with man on base. So that plays a point. Great example is that Rich Aurelia, one that can't remember what year it was, but he batted like 330, like 35 home runs, I think, batting in front of Barry Bonds. So it all factors into these decisions.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned that, that even brings a good point, because sometimes they might just be paying. I mean, not saying that they deliberately do this, but they might pay the guy the big bucks just to put him in front of, that
Yeah.
guy to add that protection because, like you've said, Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr., those are two prominent hitters that in their prime and even all throughout their career, like, you really just didn't want to pitch to them just because they were either just that good at hitting or, they were just very dangerous no matter how they went about it. I know the same could be said for Albert Pujols, just because he was a dangerous hitter all throughout his baseball career. And for you to even have that distinguishment to your resume, that really says even a lot about how good you are. But I think, the Padres see it as, this could really perhaps help them. Now, I mean, it could help them in a lot of ways. I mean, you put a guy like Xander Bogarts where anywhere in the lineup, and it can produce, but he does produce, and he produces at what I would consider a consistent level. And
Yeah.
it's just with those kind of guys, you want to maximize all their potential. But it's great if they could do the damage, but your star players still, get to have the at bats or just have that protection around them. Just because then it's like, okay, well, we got to pitch to this guy. We can't just lollygag and go around this guy. So, I'm actually surprised at the contract length and all that. But like I said, this is the Padres, this is their spending. But I also realize, with front offices, they not saying that they're going to just drop change, but they won't
Mhm.
really hand or like give out these big contracts if they don't see certain potential in certain parts of the lineup or just as an overall addition to the organization. They're not going to throw out those big contracts if they don't think it's worth it and they don't deem it worth it. I mean, it's a big risk to take, but I mean, I wouldn't have just gave him that. Now, yeah, just even looking at that contract in general,
Yeah.
11 years, he becomes a like an unrestricted free agent like 2034. And
Yeah.
that is just that's crazy. I think that baseball, like, you know, just the union in general, like they should think like, and I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with getting a 10 or so year term, but just so many of them haven't panned out. You just don't want this to go ugly. You don't want any situation for that matter
Mm.
to go ugly. But that's really all the baseball news, which is pretty. I mean, Aaron Judge isn't really that shocking,
Yeah,
but
you
the
got to hand to
Xander
the pop.
Bogarts.
Man, you got the Padres really being in after it. They offered Judge the most money, and they offered somebody else the most money too. I can't remember who else it was. I want to say DeGrom, but I could be wrong. But it was somebody other player they offered the most money to. But they're getting after it, and all you can do is offer the money. If they don't sign, then hey, you tried.
I mean, that's true.
Yep.
Hey, it's like Wayne Gretzky's famous quote: "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take."
Yep.
And I guess to some of these players, that brings up another point: is it really about the money, or is it about where you actually want to be? Because to be
Yeah.
offered the most money but still like turn it down, it just shows hey, it's really not about the money. It's more like I like where I'm at because like I've shown I can exponentially grow. But it's crazy because I actually seen I seen a couple sources over the internet that has stated that the offer that the Yankees previously offered Judge, which was like 7 years and 200 say 30 or so $1 million, and the caption actually read "Bet on yourself." And
Yeah.
I think that it goes to show, not only did Aaron Judge actually break a record this year, but like
Yeah. He
just
won it.
how
Yeah.
constant he was with everything. It just shows, hey, bet on yourself. I mean, you know what you're worth, but it's up to you to go out there and prove what you're worth. And those are two different entities in life. But,
Hmm.
I'm happy for Judge. He secures a future with the Yankees. He knows he probably has the best chance to win with the Yankees. But it's also like I was telling my dad, like, why would he go anywhere else? Like he knows Yankee Stadium. He knows how to hit. Like he already knows the ballparks that he visits. Like, why should he go anywhere else? And I was just like, the Yankees are probably the only one that are really actually gonna like offer him what he wants per se. So it's like, in a lot of ways. But now we'll move on to some college
Well,
football.
after that, I would have went to the Padres.
Yeah,
So more money and look at that lineup and look at the pitching staff and the Astros. Like you ain't got to play the Astros like the Yankees got to. I mean, that's just me.
well, okay. Well, to
But
Judge's defense, I think they did move the walls in at Petco, so I guess it's deemed more of a hitter's park now than it ever has been because for so long it's been dubbed the pitcher's ballpark, and I've seen why because of the dimensions. But I mean, he might be saving himself some money by living in New York. Who knows? I just know San Diego's one expensive city, so
man, I'm
not
just
that money's
saying,
an
you
issue,
get
but
10-year, 400 million. You get to play with Soto, Tatis,
Xander.
uh, Xander. I don't know if they would have signed Xander then if they would
But
have
yeah,
signed
that's
Judge.
true.
They
You
might
can't
have
make
could
that.
have, but still, Soto, Tatis, Machado,
Well, for you, you're
and
all,
they also got
yeah,
solid pitching, which the Yankees really don't.
yeah,
But no, who knows? We could. Yankees still got time to get some more players in there. They gonna have to if they want to beat
they
the
do.
Astros. They gotta. They need to get that. They need to get Carlos Rodon.
Yep.
They've been looking to him, and he's a good pitcher. And one more thing, just to say, up, Giants strike out again.
Listen, at
Didn't
least
get.
they tried. It's better than not doing anything
No, I
last
don't want
year.
to hear that, man. You gotta bring that deal home, man. You gotta get
Yeah,
that deal. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what it takes. If you gotta give up 420, you gotta get somebody in there because nobody's going to the Giants. Giants' attendance is down. They got nobody they want to watch.
that's true. I mean,
Nobody.
it does
They
matter.
struck out
These
on
players are
Judge. I
some
was
of the
okay,
ones that sell
understandable. I
tickets.
get it. But then they struck out on the Japanese pitcher that the Mets just got last night. Rodon not gonna come back. Uh Correa, they say they might be the favorite to sign Correa. They got to get that done.
Hmm.
All this money to spend, you sign nobody. You sign Mitch Hanger. Come on, man. He had 39 home runs 2 years ago, but you got a whole bunch of players like that on your team. You're not getting better.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I mean,
hey, it
the
is a
Yankees,
proven
the
track
Padres and
record.
Dodgers pay a lot of money. I mean, they don't win. They don't translate to World Series wins, but Dodgers are gonna win 100 something games. Padres are gonna win
Hmm.
90 something games. Giants, you got to overachieve to get players overachieve to win 90 something, 80 something games.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I mean, you got to spend to win, but it's also about, like you said, closing those deals, because you got to be serious in wanting to spend. I mean, regardless of whenever Judge and the Yankees started talking and however it got done is how it got done. But it's like I try to tell people, like, you got to secure it. You really have to do that. And if you don't, well,
Judge didn't. I understand the Judge thing. Judge didn't want to leave. You could tell he didn't want to leave. He basically said he wanted to stay with Yankee, which is fine. But these other guys you striking out on is like, come on, man, you gotta. Why wasn't your day in play for the guy, the Japanese guy that the Red Sox are? Like, man,
you got to in that division too, because the
I just
NL
don't
West is
understand. I mean,
tough.
they have to spend a. They didn't have to get like 5, 6 players. Just get somebody in there to build the team around. And I just don't
No, you're
understand.
right.
A lot of
You're
Giants fans,
right.
and Giants fans are pissed too, rightfully so.
Hey, I could just as equally say as a Pirate fan, it's not all sunshine. I mean, signing
I'm
Carlos
not spending no.
Santana,
I'm not spending $100 and some dollars a ticket with 4 people in my family. I'm not spending close to $500,000 ticket to go watch Brandon
the
Belt and
Giants.
an overage Brandon Crawford. No.
Wow, that's a. I have heard the West Coast baseball teams are a tad bit pricey.
Oh yes, pricey.
Hey, listen. Even whenever the Pirates sometimes offer promotions, it does not entice me enough to just like go for dollar dog night or a
Yeah,
fireworks night. It's just
yeah,
I'm concerned with the product on the field. It's just.
yeah.
But hey, it's you either swing and you strike and you get it, or you miss. But you just got to find some way to make up for that, because once you get fans disinterested, it does not go well, because it's hard to earn their interest back. But enough with baseball. Football, college football awards were yesterday, and the Heisman winner is Caleb Williams, and from USC. And USC now has the most Heisman winners in like college football history, or whatever you might have it. But I want to ask you this, LaMarr, based off of how much you have seen of Caleb Williams play this year, do you think he was the rightful winner, or do you think that one of the other three candidates, being Stenson Bennett or CJ Stroud or Max Dugan, do you think one of them deserved it more?
I think they got it right with Caleb Williams. He had an amazing season. Um, 4,000 yards, 37 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, and 372 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. I mean, that's an amazing season.
Do you think him playing in the Pac-12 actually helps that, and being that and hey, if it's not, then it's not. But being in the Pac-12 South Division, knowing that most of the tougher Pac-12 teams are actually in the North Division, do you think that actually helps his numbers escalate the way that they did, or do you think if USC were to play in the Pac-12 North, or at least face more of the Pac-12 North, that some of those stats might be bad, might be different?
Could play effect. He had a good season last year with Oklahoma. I mean, it just, I mean, hard to say. He might be better get play against tougher competition. Of course, the number's going to dip a little bit, but I mean, only 4. The number that's amazing to me is only 4 interceptions. Shows that he makes good decisions with the football, and NFL scouts and teams gonna love that.
I mean, yeah, oh, they
Yeah,
will. I mean, but it's crazy, that the same he lost to the same team in the regular season that he did in the Pac-12 championship game. But this time and I'm not here to say that Caleb Williams didn't deserve it. I mean, the dude's performance speaks for itself. I mean, hey, he probably could have put up the same numbers in the Big 12, if probably not better, and he still would probably win the award. So it's just I give it credit just because he's still coached with Lincoln Riley, and Lincoln Riley is working with his staff to develop him and stuff like that. So I give the credit where the credit's due. But sometimes I would just say that, depending on what conference you're in and what division you're in, will dictate, can you really dominate this division? And if so, can you dominate this conference? I mean, think about it. Well, Lincoln Riley was at Oklahoma. All Oklahoma did was dominate the Big 12. And, the Big 12 does have some prominent teams in it, right now. So, that's until they actually leave for the SEC, though. But that's a different topic for a different day. But that was my whole point. Is he was able to dominate the Big 12. So translate that over. But Utah they weren't an easy task. I mean, I guess the Utes might have came to play more in that game than they did previously. But hey,
USC
Utah.
don't USC defense ain't tough. So
That's true.
I mean,
What was it? They had like 22 missed tackles in the Pac-12 championship game. That's
yeah.
I mean, okay, I can understand if going through the entire game you might have 5 to 8 missed tackles, and even then that's kind of, bad. But like to have 22, like I mean, that just goes to show, hey, teams can be very strong, but they might be very strong in one dimension. And there's a big difference. I think we've seen that with Ohio State this year, how everybody was raving about their offense, but they didn't face a true test until they got to Penn State. And Penn State kind of exposed, well, I shouldn't say they did expose their defense. Penn State almost won that game. But that's besides the point. But I think it goes to show, you could be good like that, but there's another side that's one dimensional, and that you don't want teams to find out because they can easily shut down the one dimension that does work. And I think that that's a huge factor. But congratulations to Caleb Williams. He really did play his tail off this year in a lot of different ways. He was able to extend certain plays. The way that the guy can play and throw the ball acrobatically, it is actually insane, to be honest with you. And a lot of people wish that they could do that, but he can. And I think that that's a special person to do it, but I think that's what it shows. Hey, I mean, I guided this team here, but I also guided Oklahoma to here. So, it's the roll of the dime. But another question I do have besides that, because let's put it this way, okay, CJ Stroud, okay, yes, was he good? Yes. Could that guy throw the football absolutely any way possible? Absolutely, and still connect? Yes. But I guess it's too hard to tell, but I guess that's why they have the people that they do voting and stuff. Let it take care of that, just because, hey, it's just they assume Caleb Williams is better, and not here to argue that one bit, but it's just, hey, someone's got to win it and three people got to lose. But don't let that discredit, what CJ Stroud and what Stetson Bennett and what Max Dugan all did and contributed to their respective squads too, because let's face it, TCU's in the playoff, they're in it for a reason.
Yeah, speak on Max Dugan a little bit. I really like him, man. I mean, I know they lost the championship game, but just watching a guy like that, the way he willed his team to try to get him back in the game and stuff, he's tired, hurt, banged up. He just kept pushing himself through it. Like, man, he gained a lot of respect. I don't know what's going to transpire in the NFL for him or what, but we're in position. But I definitely see him making a team because he got the heart and plays hard.
Yeah, that's what scouts look for. That's what NFL teams look for. Sometimes, I kind of liked how KJ Hamler phrased it one time, because I think he was asked the question by Audrey Snyder, who works for The Athletic at Penn State and stuff like that. But, a lot of people question his size because he's only 5'7". Like, I'm like 5'7", 5'8". So it's like he was literally the same height as me. And, sometimes it makes you wonder, like, man, the kid's just, he even said, my heart's bigger than that. Or he said something along those lines that like really struck a chord, because it goes to show, hey, I might be 5'7", 5'8", but like I could still play receiver and I could still hang with Division I guys. It's a matter about your heart and your determination. He just, for the shorter guys, they just have to build, they just got to be a lot stronger to, withstand a lot of that stuff. But, I give Max Dugan a lot of credit, having, I think TCU's resume this year alone says a lot about Max Dugan, because for you to beat who you beat, and that being the ranked teams that they beat, and a lot of people already know those ranked teams. So I think it goes to show, that, hey, I mean, we could be TCU in the Big 12 and this, that, the other, but you know what? We're going to play our tails off. And, our hearts are a lot bigger than what people think they are. And I think you got to put respect on Dugan's name. He's the one putting in the
Mhm.
work, and so is TCU and stuff like that. Now, another question I wanted to
Another
tackle. Yeah.
another guy that make good decisions with the football. He don't throw many interceptions.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. And that matters because if you can throw the ball really good and you don't throw a lot of interceptions, a lot of teams are going to want that because that means it's
Yeah.
positive production. Now, you might throw an interception once every here and there, but
Uh,
the stats speak for itself. But going on to the next question, and this is playing a big factor for a lot of reasons, and it's NIL money. You've seen, I'm not sure if you've seen, but I seen a video of not LaMarr, but Coach Prime, just showing the Jackson State football players their new locker room and this, that, the other. And, I kind of like it how he says, you leave a place better than what you found it. And, I think it goes on to show, he's got his bowl game coming up, and then he's going to be the coach at Colorado. He effectively is, but he'll officially be that after the bowl game. But how do you see that situation playing out with NIL money? Because we've already heard a lot of these like some of these recruits, flipping to go to Colorado, this, that, the other. But my question involving NIL is, do you think that players are actually going to just jump into the transfer portal just because of the NIL? Or is it like they're actually wanting to transfer?
a little bit of both. I mean, a little bit of both. Of course, they're gonna want to get money. Everybody want to get money, especially when you're in college. Even little bit of money can help. Also, you want to go to places where you can win and where you can get playing time and fit your system, fit your play style.
Mm-hmm. I
Like
think
it's a player transfer. I can't remember the player name, but I read on a couple of days ago. Player transferring out of Mississippi State, and he took a shot at Mike Leach. So Mike Leach said, "I'm not tough enough, so wherever I go, make could be something like that." He said right there. So
I seen that. I seen that,
yeah,
and a lot of people were shocked. But I mean, that is crazy.
yeah,
I
it's go.
mean,
Mm-hmm. It's
it's crazy
yeah,
because
it's
there's a
coach.
lot that goes on with that.
Yeah, this Coach Prime thing is really interesting, man. Everybody all over it.
What do you think makes it the most interesting?
I think it's that fact that it's his stature. NFL Hall of Famer, did good at Jackson State, and he's charismatic. I mean, he's uplifting everybody. When he talk, he want people that when he talk, people gonna listen, and they
Mm-hmm.
feeding off it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy because it's the first time I've seen a coach accept the job. No, is it a head coach accept the job and continue coaching? Like a head coach, I mean, you see it with the coordinators and stuff, but I've never seen a head coach accept the job to coach somewhere else and come back and coach the bowl game. So he really coaching two teams at once
Oh, but I mean, that says a lot about it. That says a lot
because
about his character.
they had a practice Thursday or Friday in Jackson. He had to fly to Colorado for the weekend to do recruiting. So it's crazy.
That's I love that about Coach Prime.
Yeah.
That just shows, he that I think that goes to show his true intentions. It's not about the money, it's not about any of that, it's about the impact. And I think that he was just like, I want to finish my commitment to Jackson State. Now it does stink that he is leaving Jackson State, but it also speaks to another question. Now you see how lethal he was at Jackson State. How much more lethal do you think it makes him at Colorado being at a Power Five?
Yeah, definitely more lethal. Look how lethal it was. I wrote an article yesterday evening about how he flipped the Notre Dame transfer.
Mm-hmm.
4 star, committed to Notre Dame, and Coach Prime got him to go to Colorado now. It was definitely going to be an impact.
Oh, it is. And that's what I think makes Colorado a future player in the Pac-12 to say, this Colorado's about to be good again and stuff. It's just, it takes time. But I'll say this. I think he makes it a bigger impact in a shorter amount of time just because the resources that he now has, and just the overall impact he can make now. I mean, people are just going to look and they're going to just not saying that they will just do this, but they're going to see what he did at Jackson State. And they're just going to be like, dude, like if you did that at Jackson State, like just imagine what you could do at Colorado, or for that matter, perhaps any program for that matter. But I just one thing I want to add is I just love his swagger about this entire situation. Like, he ain't bad mouthing JSU or any of them, and like they're not like really coming at him. It's just more like, he says, the bag chases you. And I think that, God's also kind of looking out for him in a way. And he's like, you already built this program. Now it's like, let's go to the next level and let's rebuild this program, because it's just gonna be scary. I mean, just imagine what Coach Prime going to Colorado actually does for the conference and what like influence it could have in the future. I mean, it's going to be amazing just to see, but it just goes to show you, like, no one even thought that that was possible. Everyone thought he was going to go to Florida or back to his roots. And he just says, we're going to do Colorado. I mean, hey, he might get some Florida boys in Colorado too.
Yeah.
Eh, but I love it. It's just it goes to show. But even with NIL, I mean, do you think that, especially say with the level that Colorado probably might be at right now, with where they're at compared to other programs that are more established, probably thing, I mean, do you think players just go to Colorado and they're just like, I'm really not worried about the NIL money, and I'm more worried about just playing for the coach that I see who has the best in me? Or do you think some of these other programs could actually influence with the NIL over Colorado?
Yeah, it depends. But also, and Dion played in the NFL and he got the NFL pipeline. So if you like Dion said in his press conference, I want my players focus on the NFL, not the NIL. I mean,
Yeah, that says a lot.
with Coach Prime, he gonna speak to you straight. I mean, you gotta kids love that. They don't want to be BS'd around.
I love how he made his footprint early on, or his blueprint for that matter, in the first gathering with the Colorado football team, because he just
Mhm.
really said how it is. Like, these are the men I want in this program, and I mean that's just respect. That's just the coach telling you how it is. He's like, if you don't like it, it hit the portal with the thousands of others, and
Yeah.
and I mean, it was just great the way he said it, because it's just like you can't fault a coach for looking for the players that he's looking for. Hey,
Yeah,
and if some of them just so
and you
happen to
gotta
be
watch
there.
the whole video and get the full context because these sites are clipping it to just say, oh, he's telling players to get in the portal. You gotta watch the whole
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly. I was actually one that found the full clip and looked at it. I
Yeah,
was like, nah, coach, this is great. Like,
yeah.
I mean, certain coaches, they do that. James Franklin has even made note of that in the past. Like, we got core values as a program. And he
Yeah.
lived up to those core values. I don't think it was at Rutgers. I think it was at a home game. I guess got unsportsmanlike from the ref, and he did 15 push-ups. He says we all have core values. We all got to live up to them. It's just not the players. It's players and coaches. We all hold each other accountable. And I think, that's something that Coach Prime does best. He holds himself and he holds everybody else accountable. I like how whenever his name first started to spin around in the news, he came with the remarks saying, I'm used to it. My name's always been, up in the news, all like that. But like, he didn't
Mhm.
say it in per se a cocky manner. He said it because he knows it. He knows his position, but he knows that that's what comes with it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of bad football played in Colorado.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, bad. I
it
mean,
kind of
bad.
reminds me of like Bama before Saban arrived. Hey, Coach Prime could coach. I shouldn't even say could be. Coach Prime probably will be that savior. But then it's just, hey, what program does he take over next if he does? Or is Colorado just where he wants to go or what? But it's gonna be nice for him to live in the Rocky Mountains and experience that. It actually might make me want to catch a Colorado football game in the future. I'm just saying. You just never know.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm trying to.
slightly considering the Rose Bowl trip, but even that's a bit pricey right now. So I know that that's going to do it for this edition of the MLB Inside the Diamond podcast. For LaMarr Fields, I'm Tom Johnston. We will catch you on the next one.